All right, I'm excited because I might get a chance to sit down and talk with Steve Waugh, who is a cricketer who needs no introduction, but he's also a bike rider, and you've got a big adventure coming up in Tasmania this coming weekend.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a little outline of the captain's ride?
Yeah, it's sort of stretching to say I'm a bike rider, but 3 years ago, the foundation in Australia has been going now for over a decade, called the Steve Waugh Foundation, which looks after kids who suffer from rare diseases. And a couple of years ago, we wanted to have different events that people really wanted to come to where they could raise funds. So we wanted a challenging sort of event that was going to be fun and something people would come back each and every year without a sort of hassling them to turn up for the event. And bike riding was a bit of a craze at that time. I thought, well, let's try a bike ride, and didn't really know what we were doing, but we said, let's ride from Sydney to Byron Bay. Someone said it was a good idea, and so 800 kilometres over 6 days, and there was about 10,000 metres of climbing in it, and I'd trained for about 2 months to prepare for the ride. I thought I was ready to go, and got up the first hill at Wiseman's Ferry, which was a 12k climb, and thought, what the hell am I doing? So we somehow made it through that first ride, and I was sore for about 6 months afterwards. And so next year or last year we went from Mittagong to Mount Kosciuszko. I was much better prepared for that, and this year we've gone from Hobart to Hobart, so this is the third year of the event. We try and raise $1 million during the event. It's also got a leadership component to it, so each night we have someone speak on leadership, and this year we've got people like Mark Webber, Adam Goods, we've got Cadel Evans, Richie Porte, Shane Gould, Ginn, Daley, Thompson, all these amazing VIPs who come on the ride, and each night they talk about leadership. So it's about team bonding, leadership, raising awareness for rare diseases, so we're putting rare disease on the map and having a life experience.
It's amazing what your, let's say, fame can conjure, isn't it? I mean, you've been able to pull together a big group of eclectic sports people to do one thing. Cycling tends to attract the charity because it has that that bonding component, and camaraderie is a word that's often tossed about.
Yeah.
What else do you get out of it?
So we do stop in the communities, engage with the local communities. We've done a lot of work before we get down to Tasmania to let people know we're coming. Lynette, my wife, has done 3 recce's of Tasmania on the ride, so there's lunch stops. We're talking to local communities, and they're putting on lunches for us, and so it's good for the economy in some of these country towns which are really struggling due to the mining stopping. So there's that element of engagement for the community, also for the riders. It's a networking opportunity. There's a lot of CEOs on this ride. Importantly, they learn about the charity and the foundation, why they're raising money, and we play kids' stories each night of the recipients that get the money and how their money is being used. We meet a lot of those kids and the families along the way. People become great mates. There's quite a few of the people who are back for their third rides. Probably about half the riders have come back each year. So there's a lot of different elements, and people are motivated by different things to get on the ride. Some people may know someone or have a child with a rare disease. Others, just want to have that life experience. People want to know about the charity. So there's different motivation for each rider. Not a lot of people understand, but a rare disease is actually quite common. There's 6,000 to 8,000 different types of rare diseases. 7 to 10% of the population will have a rare disease. We cater for the extremely rare conditions, so our prevalence or our criteria for helping kids is if your condition less than 2 in 100,000. And there's over 400 different diseases that meet that criteria. And we focus on those ones because they're 0 to 25 years of age, the kids we support. We focus on those ones because they most often don't have any support groups or don't get government funding because they're so rare. They don't meet the criteria of other organisations. So we literally are the only organisation in Australia where they can go to for funding. And there's also another group of kids called SWANs, and they are symptoms without a name. And they're the kids that haven't even been diagnosed or never get diagnosed because no one knows what they've got. And when you haven't got a diagnosis, you can't go to anyone for funding, which is an extremely cruel situation. These kids are often referred to as the orphans of the health system. So there's delayed diagnosis, not much funding, very little research, and a lot of them struggle for treatment. So they really are left to stand by themselves. So we aim to stand beside them, to give them a voice, to raise awareness for what they've got, and also to help fund them.
I think what you've been able to do is leverage your brand or your reputation and highlight the predicaments that people find themselves in.
Sure.
Inspiration comes in many guises.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I realised when I did my work in India with helping kids in leprosy colonies, and it's still ongoing after 17 years. But if you have a profile, you can much more easily raise awareness. You can leverage your networks for fundraising, and I suppose people have got that trust element too, because they sort of feel as if they know you already. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've managed to do that with a charity. That certainly helps. At the end of the day, the biggest factor you've got to have is commitment and passion, because it's 100%. Once you're into a charity, you can't half do it. I think that's a mistake some organisations make, that they go in with great intentions, but you've got to back it up with a really great work ethic and a good team around you. Otherwise, it does become hard work to raise money.
How long between stopping playing and establishing the foundation, how long was there?
No time really, because I was already doing my work in India, which has been going 17 years. Really, I started this charity on the day I retired from cricket, because there was a coin struck up in my last Test match from News Limited, and the money from that was 168,000. So we started that money to basically start the charity. So the charity was started on the last day of my international career.
Therefore, the transition for you from player to the great ordinary, as I call it, was relatively seamless, because you had something immediately to go into.
Yeah, no, I'd already prepared. I mean, I've been, as I say, working in India for 4 or 5 years in charity before that, and I'd done a lot of my business deals myself. I'd written 13 books, and most of those I'd written during my career. So I was sort of ready to move into the next phase, and I think that's the hardest thing for sports people, if they're not ready for it, if they haven't prepared. And probably the cruelest thing for any sports person is their career cut short by injury, because that really, you can't plan for that, and it's sort of, you feel like you've been left frustrated and you haven't achieved your full potential. So I was lucky that I left everything out in the field. I'd achieved what I wanted to, and I was ready to move to that next phase. But unfortunately for a lot of people, it comes quicker than they think.
Or the selectors make that decision for them.
Yeah, for sure, and that's it's difficult. And if you haven't left everything out in the field that you possibly wanted to, then you do have regrets afterwards.
Yeah. When you've been surrounded by something as intensely as you would have been when you're captain of the Australian team for cricket, and it's basically all-consuming.
Yeah.
How is it once you've moved on? Do you dream of your playing days now? Do you have sequences which replay in your mind? Yeah,
I'm a big believer in looking forward. I mean, I never look back too much, and occasionally you see highlights of your career, but really when I finished at the SCG, my last game, that was it. I walked out, and I've only ever played 3 days of charity cricket, and that was for my foundation to raise money, and I haven't played any games. So I was ready to move on. I figured I had a great career, and I was lucky to achieve what I did, and there was no point in sort of, hanging around the cricket sort of area. I wanted to move out into business and into philanthropy, and obviously I've got 3 kids and family, so I had plenty of other options to go to, and so for me it was about a different direction. I wanted to meet new people, have new challenges, and to be ignited by something that drives my passion, because when you're playing cricket at that level, you've got to be so committed and want to do it, and you've got to channel it somewhere else, because you can't just turn it off. I think after playing international sport, you can't say I'm going to go in a hammock in the Bahamas and drink pina coladas and just relax. I mean, for me, I get bored doing that. I like to be busy. I like to have a challenge, and for me, this is another challenge, getting on a bike. I mean, I never ridden a bike before the first captain's ride up to Byron Bay. Really, I was corner shop to get a paper. That was the furthest I'd ridden. So I do tend to sort of take on a challenge and then try and work it out later on how it's going to happen.
Thanks for introducing cycling to this story.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the bike. You're on a wheelie that seems to be your bike of choice for a couple of years now. Is that right? Yeah,
that was through Rochelle Gilmore, who was kind enough to sort of offer to set me up with. She's got all these companies that she's sort of with her cycling team, with the Wiggle cycling team. So yeah, the Wheeler, it was a fantastic bike. And to be truthful, people look at my bike and they give me all these quotes and all these statistics, and I've got no idea what they're talking about. But I say, yeah, that's a really good bike. It goes well.
And once you did clip in and get rolling, did it provide sort of a stimulus that you hadn't thought? Yeah,
look, I'd never really had a passion for cycling. I really wanted to ride long distance on a bike before, but it certainly gets to you and becomes part of you. And I think I like the fact that you get away from phones, you get away from technology, you're out on the road, and I train a lot by myself, so I think cricket and cycling have got a lot of crossover aspects to it, particularly the mental strength. In cycling, it's very easy to give up on something, but I sort of draw on my mental strength from playing cricket, that even though it is tough, I know I can get through it, and once you've done it once, then you can do it again. So there's a lot of that aspect to it. Yeah, you got to be patient on the bike, I suppose, as well, and yeah, you got to plan ahead. And I like the fact that when you're riding the peloton, there's people that you can talk to, so it's a great social aspect to it as well. And obviously it keeps you fit, and that's a big thing. Once you get over 50, is it's hard to sort of maintain that fitness. And for me, I don't like going to the gym if I haven't got something to strive for at the end of it. So to have the 800 Ks and a 10,000 metres of climbing, I know I've got to get fit, so it gets me training each and every day. Like my cricket, I tend to keep it pretty simple. I've been training with a guy called Martin Hoyle, who's been fantastic. You know, it's about 6 minutes of intense cycling with 15 seconds at the end sprinting, 3-minute break, then repeat that process 4 times just to give me the leg strength and used to the lactic acid building up in the legs. And I don't worry too much about anything else. It's really simple routines, 2 or 3 days a week doing that, and then go for the longer rides on the weekend. I try not to get too much information overload, because then you do get confused. I think sometimes it's best not to know too much.
This might sound like an insult, but I'm curious, do you consider cricket to be a game or a sport?
I don't know, it's a sport. I've never really thought about it. It's something I love playing, so I think that would probably fit in the category of sport, you know, and then it becomes a game when you play for your country, and probably becomes even more than that. It's a source of national pride and respect, and you're following tradition and history. So it becomes all of those. But initially, I mean, when I was captain, I'd always say to the players before a big match, just think back to the reason why you first started playing cricket. You know, get that passion in your mind, and that drive, and that excitement, and that energy and enthusiasm. And that's why you first played, and that's what you should take into the big matches as well.
When it comes to leadership, what did you get lessons, or did you just did they come to you?
I'm not sure. It's hard to know that, and people always ask, you know, are you born a leader, or did you become a leader? I think it's a bit of all of those, but I think the best leaders are the ones that do it without trying too hard. Comes naturally to them. And perhaps I'm more of a leader by actions more so than words. You know, like you know, people often say to me, "Oh, you've got the captain's ride. Are you actually doing the ride?" And I find that an insulting question, because of course I'm doing it. That's why I put it on, and I wouldn't ask anybody to do something I'm not doing. So my leadership style is pretty relaxed and laid back. I do it more one-on-one, and I try and give people confidence. I think my style is maybe getting people to believe they can do things they don't think they can do themselves. That's by giving them confidence and reinforcement and a bit of help, and giving sort of people structures in place to get them through difficult situations.
How important is grace?
Grace?
Poise.
Oh, look, I think it's important. Composure is probably the word. I think it's important in sport. Yeah, the best players in the biggest situations always have composure under pressure, and that's because they've practiced the hardest, and they know that their skill set is going to stand up in the intense situation. If you haven't done the hard work, then you become panicked because you're not sure you can do it. So it's all about having done the hard work, and that leads to grace, poise, composure, whatever word you want, but that's the ability to handle yourself under pressure and to reproduce the good stuff.
I mean, now I have to ask you to hark your mind back to when you stepped onto the pitch, but you know, when you turn up an event and you know that it's a big one, the Ashes or something like this, and you want the adrenaline, but you also don't want the surges that adrenaline provides. How did you utilise that excitement?
Yeah, cricket was different than a lot of other sports, because you're there for 6-7 hours a day, so it's not like footy where you're slapping each other around and pumping each other up and go, let's go smash them. Yeah. I think if you do that in cricket, you can use too much energy up before you get in the field. So I was very relaxed before test matches, and it was just like normal everyday routine. Relax, sit in the corner. Of course you're apprehensive and you're nervous, but you try not to think too much about what's going to happen. It's more trust yourself. You've done the hard work. Go out there, try and relax and try and enjoy it. But that's easier said than done. That was after a long time playing for Australia, because of course there's nerves there. And again, I go back to the fact, if you've done the hard work, then you're going to have less types of nerves, or different types of nerves. You're still going to have the apprehensive nature, and it's a bit of anxiety, but you're confident you're going to do well. But if you haven't done the hard work, you're hoping you're going to do well, and that's a different type of nervousness.
Well, let's go back to the children, because that's true inspiration. Your ambassador, I've forgotten her name.
Renee, Eliades, yeah.
she's got a fantastic character, and her voice is vibrant, and it's immediately sparks you up. It stirs your emotion.
Sure.
What have you learned from these kids? I mean, when during your video clip, you have all of these writers offering statements that it's the kids that are giving them their inspiration.
Sure.
You get that still, obviously.
Yeah, look, and the foundation, we haven't got any sort of A-list sort of, patrons or ambassadors. I consider our kids, the stars of the show, and their attitude and their courage and their commitment to the families and how they just get on with everyday life and don't complain. I mean, that's really the core of this ride, and that's what keeps people going. Our ride is not meant to be easy. I mean, if you want an easy charity ride, there's plenty of those out there. This is meant to test you to the max, mentally and physically, and that's because I wanted to emulate 6 days, the attitude of the kids showing each every day of their lives. They've got difficulties to overcome every day of their lives. We've only got 6 days to do it, and that's a big part of the ride is the kids sending us messages each night, and they're played, and they get riders through the next day because they're feeling like it's too hard and we can't continue. Then they get a message from the kid and it's right, let's go tomorrow. So they're all inspirational. Renee is an amazing young lady, 25 years of age, 82 centimetres tall, weighs 10 kilos, but she's got an incredible spirit. So, and they're all inspirational to me. Each and every story is amazing, what they've overcome, how they get on with the job. They don't complain, and now the core value of the foundation is strength of character, and that comes from the kids, and if you haven't got that, then you can't come on the ride.
Motivation's a funny thing. Maybe we can conclude with this concept because it comes in waves, doesn't it? If you think about the fundamentals of bike riding, there's a lot of benefits to it. You can get around the world without too much pollution and not so much traffic jam. And there's reasons that we ride a bike. But then if you're in my situation, for example, and you've been writing about bike racing for a long time, and then one day you might wake up and think, well, what's the point? and things can seem a little pointless. Hitting a ball around a pitch, pedaling from one line to another and hoping that you're first. When you find your motivations on the wane, how do you manage? Does that happen to you?
I think it happens to everyone. That's how life evolves. I mean, you train for something like I did for cricket for a lot of years, became very good at it, very successful, but then you want another life challenge. You want to find, I think everyone's looking to find purpose in their life, and you need that. You wake up, you've got to have something that wakes you up and you're excited about the day ahead, and that's what I look for, the next challenge. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years, but I hope it's something different to what I'm doing now. I don't want to be doing the same thing for too long. I've just learnt that I want to test myself in as many ways as possible. There's only a certain amount of time left, and I want to get out there and experience other things. Right now, philanthropy is really important to me, and doing this bike ride. But I know there's going to be another challenge around the corner. I'm not sure what it is, whether it's business, family, philanthropy. I'm not sure where it's going to come from, but I'm looking to take it on, whatever it is. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with changing direction in life. I think that happens to everyone. It's so long as what you're doing next you're passionate about. If you haven't got the passion, then you're doing the wrong thing.
Well, there's a big few days ahead of you. I know you've got a lot to do before you get to Tasmania. Once you're there, I hope you have a great time.
Yeah, we will. It's going to be tough.
And get some money.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for your time.
No worries. Good.
Cheers.